Greetings of peace and welcome. My name is Anthea Alexander, and I am a coach and mentor based in Melbourne, Australia. I'm joined this evening in Melbourne. It's 8 p.m., just after 8 p.m. Australian Daylight Savings Time, with my esteemed co-hosts, Yogi Sanjiva, who we know affectionately as Sanji, and also Rae Dalai. And they will introduce themselves shortly and they can tell you a bit about themselves and where they're located. So basically, this is our weekly open conversation, which is based on the theme of living consciously in 2026. And we've been joining each other weekly or thereabouts, or, we had a bit of a break, but basically weekly for probably over a year now. So, and discussing topics that are of interest and that are, relevant to our times and living in our modern times. But we also call upon tradition as well. So basically, the purpose of the conversations is to create a sacred space where we can share our thoughts and our experience and knowledge and wisdom about different topics. Anybody is welcome to join us. It's not just the three of us that are the only ones who are welcome to come and discuss things, but we basically form the foundation, and anyone else is welcome to come and join us. We also welcome thoughts and suggestions about different topics. We've covered a range of topics so far. We most recently have discussed trauma at some length, which was quite fascinating. And that's probably about as much as I will say. Oh, I will talk about our topic. That's probably a good idea as well. So what we're going to talk about this evening is the importance of sleep from different perspectives. So some of the thoughts that I have come up with, I'll leave it for now. I'll talk about them soon, but I'll hand it over to my other two co-hosts first so they can introduce themselves to you. So over to you, whomever would like to speak next.
I think it might be my turn. So, hi, my name's Rae. I am a ceramic artist based in far north Queensland on the Atherton Tablelands, which is about an hour and a half's drive inland from Cairns. Um, my background has been nursing. So, for most of my life, I have been a registered nurse in a hospital setting. And I've naturally progressed into pottery, which was started off as a hobby. But because of my nursing background, I'm very comfortable with the circle of life, and I make a lot of ceramic items for the funeral industry. So cremation urns and angels and all sorts of things like that for people and pets. Yeah, so I just have a broad interest in lots of topics, and this is one of them. So thank you for allowing me to come along.
You're very welcome, Rae.
Oh, uh, okay. Thank you, Anthea. Thank you, Rip. Uh, Very nice to be with you both. So I'm Sanjiva. I'm currently in Sri Lanka, and I'm in a eco lodge, and we are doing like retreats or like meditations for the guests who are coming here, and there are retreats happening regularly here. So yeah, it was very nice. But last few weeks I got sick, and then we could not do, like. But very happy to be back, and we have a beautiful topic for today, no? So I'll hand it over to Anthea. So I think it's a very important topic, and I think there's a lot of things to discuss about it, even, no?
Thank you very much, Rae. Thank you very much, Sanji. So Sanji asked me a couple of weeks ago what topic we should look at, and I thought about sleep. At the time, it was relevant to me, as it always is relevant to me. I wouldn't say I monitor my sleep, but I'm very aware of how much sleep I have, because I certainly function much better when I do have better sleep. So at the time, I was thinking perhaps I could improve my sleep patterns. So it would be worthwhile if it's something that is relevant to me. I feel that it is often that it is affecting other people in the world. So also as a coach and mentor, and Sanji also works with me in this field of wellness. We work with performance, and sleep is something that really affects our performance. So, as in our everyday performance, in our work, our concentration, our moods, our hormones, sleep affects so many different things. And interestingly, I was noting on social media, I follow, I'm very interested in mindset, and mindset is another area in which we coach people and focus on. So I noted that really high performing athletes in sports, they use sleep as a high performance tool, which is legal. And it was talking about them having like 10 to 12 hours sleep. So the recommended amount of sleep is generally around 7 to 9 hours. They say that that's how much sleep we should aim to have at night. Of course, it will differ with people who are shift workers, or perhaps mothers or children. Teenagers also need lots and lots of sleep as they're developing so much and growing, and in all sorts of ways, developing their brains, their bodies, every parts of them. So that is a basic introduction. Some of the topics that I wanted to touch upon, I'd be very interested in hearing from Sanji in terms of sleep from a traditional point of view. And I know that we have touched upon this in some of our other discussions, and there are differing ways of looking at sleep that previous sort of elders and wise people treated sleep. And we could also discuss some sleep hygiene. So that's basically patterns for setting or rituals for setting yourself up for a great night of sleep. The other things I have noted down are dreams and nightmares. They might, just depending on how we go with our discussion this evening, they might become a separate topic. But we'll see how we go, as we always do. So there's some of the points that I would love to explore and tease out with my beautiful co-host. So what I might do now is hand it over to Rae, and I'd love to hear from Rae about her thoughts and insights upon sleep, from her own personal experience, from the experience of perhaps patients, and perhaps even with the people that she works with in terms of helping them through their grief, and perhaps how grief may impact sleep patterns. So anything is welcome. So I'll hand it over to you again, Rae. Thank you.
Thanks, Anthea.
You're welcome.
So I've made a couple of notes. And the first thing that I need to point out, as having been a nurse and a shift worker for many years, is that the more night shifts you do, the shorter your lifespan. And there's a calculation for that, which I just can't remember at the minute. But night shift is really, really bad for you. Yeah. So I remember I've worked night shifts in different ways, like here in Atherton, where I worked as a nurse last. we would do 2 or 3 night shifts in a row and then have one day off and often be back on a morning shift. Absolutely horrific. That sort of roster is just, it takes about a week to recover from a night shift. And I worked in Tennant Creek in the middle of Australia for 6 months. And in Tennant Creek, we did a string of night shifts. I did 10 night shifts in a row. And that's easier. That is much easier on your body to cope with than 2 or 3 and then trying to switch back into day shift. I remember while I was on that in Tennant Creek, we had a gastro epidemic through all the Indigenous communities on the cattle state. Everybody got gastro all at once, and our 20-bed hospital had 53 infants.
Wow.
All on drips. Yeah, it was awful, and the staff got sick as well. So we were really short-staffed, and I stayed well right up for most of it. But I remember I worked 10 night shifts on, 2 days off, another 10 on, another 2 days off, another 10 on, another 2 days off. That's the most night shift I've ever done in my life. Oh my God, I'll never forget it. It was really hard. And then I got sick at the end, so I got a string of days off. So night shifts and nursing is dreadful for switching shifts as well. My son is a shift worker. He works in a coal mine driving a bulldozer. And when they do night shifts shifts on the mine, they do a week of day shifts. They have a week off. Then they do a week of night shifts and then a week off. And that is much gentler on your body than the classic nursing roster, which is a morning shift, a late shift, a morning shift, a late shift, 3 night shifts, 1 or 2 days off, back on a morning. Just dreadful. So I think nursing has got the worst industry standards for shift work. The other thing I would like to mention from my nursing experience is I worked for a few years in intensive care units. And in intensive care, that you have to be 75% dead before you get into an ICU unit. So they're absolutely critically ill. And when they're so sick, at least every hour there's something to do. You either do a turn or you fiddle with their lines or something that disturbs the patients. Even though if they're that sick, they are paralysed and ventilated and sedated on a machine that does the breathing for them. It's still really harsh to be interfering with their healing, because when you're sick, you want to sleep. You just want to sleep, and you wake up for an hour and then you go back to sleep. So these poor ICU patients never get that. They're just poked and prodded and needles stuck in them all 24 hours a day. Yeah. So when they come off the ventilator, that continues. So they're conscious, they're trying to heal, and at least every hour, sometimes every 15 minutes, you're taking blood or you're pounding on their chest doing chest physio, or you're toning them or something. So by the time they go from intensive care back to the wards, they're an absolute basket case mentally. And it takes them weeks and weeks. So they don't sleep in the wards. They're a nightmare to nurse once an ICU patient comes to the ward, because they're just awake all the time and they're really demanding. They're not psychotic, so they're thinking reasonably clearly. They're extremely self-absorbed, as we all are when we're really sick. So they're very demanding. I need a drink of water. I need to go to the toilet. I need now, every half an hour. And it takes at least weeks, sometimes months, for them to re-regulate, which to me is the opposite of helping someone heal. But when they're so unwell that they end up in intensive care and you have to spend that much time with them, it's just really interesting. I would always try and leave my patients alone as much as possible. So if I had things to do, like drugs to give and turns to do and maybe a bath, I'd try and do it all together so that I'd give them as much rest in between. Yeah, really tough. Coronary care units have woken up. they're very different. So people who've had heart attacks, they have nap times in the afternoon where they are left alone for at least 2 hours. Yeah, so their cares are very coordinated so that they're not being woken up and interrupted all the time. So their outcomes are so much better. In Australia, we have incredible results with heart attacks. So we have very little heart muscle damage because of the way those patients are treated. Yeah, so they're great cardiac units. Other wards, including children's wards, hopeless. I just interrupt all day, interruptions. My mum was in hospital 2 years ago and she had to have a pacemaker, which was fine. When she stepped down from the coronary care unit, because I'd sit with her as much as possible through the day, she would be interrupted at least every half an hour. What would you like to do your food order for the next 3 days? And that person would go away. Next minute, the physio would come in. Okay, we'll go for a walk now. So she'd get back from a walk, put her back into bed. Oh, now it's time for your pills. It's just so anti-health. It's just the opposite that you need to do. Yeah, it's really hard. And children's wards just the same. They are so loud. There's always children crying, screaming, and the rooms are very close together. So if a child's screaming 3 rooms down, you can still hear it. So those poor little things. And of course, all they want to do is sleep when they're sick, sleep or scream because they've got pain or. Yeah, it's really hard. Ideally, the best children's wards are the isolation wards where they've got infectious diseases and every child with their parent. Because these days in hospital, when I was a baby nurse, we sent the mums and dads home and we looked after the babies. But these days, the nurses just don't have enough time to do that for every individual child. So mum or dad has to be there all the time. So in isolation wards, they get their own room. So it's much better. So yeah. And they try not to go in there very much because every time a nurse goes into an isolation room, they risk picking up whatever that child's got, some horrible contagious thing. Yeah. Yeah, so that's shift work. So the other thing I noted down was pregnant people, as I'm a midwife as well, and I've had a baby. So I know, the most fascinating thing to me was when the further along I got in my pregnancy, the less my unborn child let me sleep. So by the last month, I was up probably every 2 hours at the most to go to the toilet or go and eat something or fix my heartburn or change position or wait for that child to stop kicking so I could go back to sleep. And I thought, oh, this is terrible, so bad. And you don't realise that nature is actually preparing you for when you've got that newborn, because holy mackerel, you don't get any sleep for the first 3 months at least when you have a newborn. So I was really unlucky. I got a baby that just had colic really bad. So he never slept. 1999 is the longest year I've ever had in my life because I was awake for most of it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was his cries would go right through my nervous system, like it run down my spine. Yeah, it was amazing. And you were just up before you even realised your feet were on the ground and you were going to that baby. It was just amazing how that worked. Yeah, eventually the first 3 months were the hardest, and then he didn't sleep through the night until he was 3. Yeah, but so now I understand why Mother Nature wakes you up every 2 hours before that baby's born, because by gee, that would be a real shock if you got a newborn like I got and you weren't physically prepared. Yeah, some people are lucky, they get handbag babies. It's like they just carry them around like a handbag. They're asleep all the time. My brother was like that when he was born. But yeah, it's very interesting. This is a huge subject. Yeah. So that's kind of my biggest experience. I've got a couple of other things like I know I'm not a sleep expert by any means, but I know that if you're trying to lose weight, you need to sleep a lot. Yeah, so that helps you lose weight. And my son, I was just talking to him, he's got man flu, so I was just checking that he was still alive before we started talking. And I said, well, I'm going to talk to Sanji and Anthea about sleep. And he said, oh, telomeres. And I was like, what? Telomeres, so they're a marker in your, I think that he reckons they're brain cells, but I know they're telomeres are cells in your body that the number of them predict how long your life will be. And the less sleep, the more broken, interrupted, terrible sleep you get, the less telomeres you have. So sleep's very important for your telomeres and your recovering and your lifespan. Yeah, as I can attest from night shift being so harsh. Yeah. So it must be your turn now, Sanji.
Okay. So I also got a bunch of details and like I collected those some, but I think this will be another maybe another time also, and we can surely talk about like dreams and nightmares also on another specific topic, and about trauma also we have another one episode coming, no, when George is also there, like we have one of that also maybe next week if possible, no. And yeah, about sleep, like this is one thing like we spend actually about one third of our day, right? One third if in modern time like they separate it into 24 hours, no? So it's like one third, and in life also you see like Ray said, no, the little babies, and we also see like they sleep most of the time, and uh, senior citizens also we see them like spending more time in sleep. Uh, so, but in the think like in the middle of that time also like children and all, and then they say at least have 8 hours of sleep. So this has many things, no? So in a way, it's like a biological process for in human life. So it can affect like the brain, the emotions, immune systems, no? And so I in personally also there are many things, many reasons, and we also try to practice and then stay without sleeping. And then when you just stay without concentration and all, then after a couple of days you become as if you drank alcohol or something. Everything goes like way, like left and right, no, and you don't know. It seems disoriented, but with proper concentration, the amount of sleep you need is less and less. So we'll talk about these things. So. In There are some reasons these monks and nuns like they get up way early, and then they have a structured schedule. So and then they are like how to say, the wear and tear is less, like I mean, through, not that they are not hardworking or anything, they are doing a lot of work, but like the things that affect them uh, in life and all, they try to live a very simple life, no. So that also, but usually like say like early to bed early to rise, no, makes a man healthy and wise, no. So so there are different patterns, there are ways, and so uh, we see in deeper spirituality it is considered as a sleep of defilements, and that is in a way, in a very deep way, yeah. So we will talk about of these things maybe on another time also. But it's I remember one time when we were practicing meditation, yeah, in Myanmar and all, like we weren't practicing when we were sick and everything, no. So had high fever and everything, and for weeks on was practicing, and then they thought like I had malaria, no. And they sent me to Yangon, which is like a main city over there. And I went to a specific monastery, and I said, I'm very tired. Can I just sleep? I still slept continuously for 17 hours. Couple of times I remember I just woke up and again went like, eh. But after that, I had no fever or anything at all. In that monastery, it was a very tough retreat. We stayed there after the 60-day retreat also. And still we were practicing in the same momentum was going on. But you get up very early, you ends up in the about 11 or something. But I'm just telling is like a very good sleep also can cure a lot of things. Then I went for the sake of going and telling, like asking or whether I have something with me, but I didn't feel any sickness after that. So so that also then can sometimes you just need some rest, like Ray said, no? So we'll try to talk about different things. So like if you talk about enlightened beings, they rested their body, but the mind was fully awake and aware. So because they didn't have defilements, no? But in a normal person, what can happen is that's why they see nightmares even. Or sometimes people they wake up suddenly, even if they slept many hours, they feel very tired, no? And there are the other times like you just feel, we call it a chicken sleep here, no? Like you fall even in a vehicle, but you feel very refreshed. So we have so many things to explore here. Yeah, we'll go back to Anthea and like let's see what she's cooking, no? We cannot see below, right?
I'm stirring my cauldron,
Yeah, no, the magic
throwing
pot.
in
No?
the toads and the bits and pieces. Yeah.
The sleep portion, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I was writing some notes about what you were both saying. That's all I was doing. So I wanted to share some of my personal experiences. So basically, in 2021, at the end of the year, I got a job, and it was a shift job. So it wasn't a long period of time we were working. We were working 4-hour shifts, but the timing of them was very interesting. So it was 4 to 8 in the morning. So I basically was awake at around 2:30 in the morning, and then I would go to my shift and come home, and then I would sleep again. And I did that for about 6 months, and that was really it was really really interrupted my life. Uh, it meant that like I was able to do it, and the shift timing was the same, maybe 2 to 4 shifts a week, but it meant that I really couldn't focus on much else apart from that job while I was doing that job. So that has been my experience with shift work. As well, similarly to Ray, my late mother was a midwife and registered nurse, and she worked predominantly. So she did her nursing training, but she worked predominantly as a midwife, and then later with the little intensive care bubs or neonatal ward. Um, And what was I wanting? Oh, so I was wanting to share her experience. So she didn't change from daytime shifts to nighttime shifts. She worked night shifts the whole time. And she actually said that suited her because she was a night person. This is perhaps another topic that we can discuss at some time because uh, they talk about people being night owls or early birds. And so when our energy is perhaps strongest or our chi in terms of traditional Chinese medicine, love to hear Sanji's thoughts on this sort of topic. So my mother, she basically said that it suited her. She was a night person, and when we were little kids, so I've got two sisters. I'm the middle child, and when we were growing up, she would sleep through the day, and then so somebody would be around, and then she would get up at night and then go to work, initially part-time, so about 2 nights a week. And then when my father had his work accident in about 1980, then she increased her shifts to basically nine night shifts a fortnight. So, and yeah, so I watched her, and I could see that she managed well, and she looked after her health very well. She had like complex and chronic health conditions, including diabetes and other things. But I could see how it really knocked her body around. So that's shift work. I would also, something else that came to my mind is perhaps and Rae may be able to comment on this, the effect of medication on sleep. And I was also interested in what Sanji was saying about sleep of defilement and whether medication, I'd be interested in hearing Sanji's his thoughts about medication and how it may affect our sleep, and maybe whether that relates to having nightmares as well. I think that telomeres, I've certainly heard of them. I'm going to look that up about what Rae's brother was talking about. And that's pretty much what I wanted to share at this point in time. What you were talking about with a chicken sleep, Sanji, I love that. That's very cute. Because I've had chickens and I've looked after them, and they sort of sleep with one eye sometimes, but sometimes you do watch them and they just have a little sleep and then they perk right up and they're really happy. And in Australia, they call them power naps. So if you just have a sleep for maybe 10, 15 minutes, and they also recommend that when you're driving long distances in Australia, because it's such a big country, that you stop and have regular power naps so that you don't become too drowsy and lose concentration and lose control of your car. So that's what I wanted to share for now. So I'll be very interested to hear from Rae next.
So when we're talking about driving our car, so a lot of accidents are caused by overtired drivers having what micro sleeps. So they actually fall asleep at the wheel and then wake up like in seconds. And in that time, they could run off the road or anything. You don't even know they're coming on. So they're really dangerous. So that's why you need to have a rest so that you're not micro sleeping. Yeah. I read an article some years ago that says in caveman times, prehistoric times, the natural sleep pattern was 4 hours of sleep, get up, do something, and then another 4 hours. That's how our body clock was in prehistoric times. But I've noticed that my most joyous, most wonderful thing that I'm most grateful for in the universe is living my life these days with no alarm clock. That has made such a difference to my happiness, my peace of mind, my health, everything. So it's only once a week when I have to take my dad shopping that I set an alarm clock just to make sure I don't sleep in. But that is just the best thing in the whole world. And I noticed Sanji said that he slept for 17 hours in the monastery, and that kind of reset your body and got you back on track. I've read many articles, because being a shift worker, that says no matter how sleep deprived you are, because certainly when I was young, night shift got in the way of all of our social lives. So we'd come off night shift, then go shopping, then go partying that night. And it was sometimes 36 hours before we actually got to bed. And I found this myself, no matter how sleep deprived you are, 12 hours will put you back onto even footing. Yeah. Okay. And you asked me before, Anthea, about medications and like sleeping pills. I can tell you, having watched hundreds, thousands of people take sleeping pills in hospital, they're never fully rested. It's never the same as a deep natural sleep without drugs. And then it's right. It's like we have biorhythms in our bodies. So waking hours, sleeping hours, yeah. And those drugs just stomp all over those. So even though they're asleep, the quality of the sleep mustn't be as good. And then they get reliant on the sleep medication. Yeah. So I'm not that I'm dead against it, but I don't think it's a healthy thing. I don't think it helps your body to heal, to have sleeping medications, any sort of medication. I was in hospital once when I was 21. I had to have surgery instead of sitting my final nursing exams, which at the time was really good, but it put me 6 months behind the rest of my crew. So it was awful. Anyway, so here I was in hospital, had big abdominal surgery, and they keep you for a week back in those days. It was a big op. And I had, what were they doing? They took me off my pain medications after the third day, I think, and I couldn't sleep. And they gave me Rohypnol, which is the date rape drug. Oh my God, that's wonderful. They gave me a quarter of a tablet and I slept like a rock. Yeah, so it got me through the night in a pleasant way. I don't think it helped with healing or anything, but at least it shut my mind off and blanketed out any physical discomfort. So from a patient's point of view, there is a place for medications to help you sleep, but really only short term. I only ever had that quarter of a Rohypnol once. Yeah, I don't remember a thing. Yeah, it wipes your memory. Yeah, amazing. But yeah, good night, solid night. Solid night of thinking I was asleep at least. Yeah. But yeah, so it's a shame that they're ever invented, honestly. Medications, yeah, makes most people groggy, their judgment's impaired, they're trying to make life and death decisions about their care, they're trying to communicate clearly with their doctors. It makes it really hard. So I think we used to make our patients like a warm Milo. That's so much better to help them sleep. Yeah, and reducing their anxiety. Pain, obviously pain, but if they feel safe, people sleep a lot better in hospitals, which is really hard because you've got a full ward and 3 of the patients have got dementia of some sort, that then they're wandering through the night, they're trying to get into the bed with the wrong person. So hospitals are just horrible for trying to heal. Yeah, but yeah, so I hope that one day we find a better solution to helping people sleep in a hospital setting without certainly the drugs that we have available at the moment. I don't think there's anything else I can add. Was there anything else you wanted me to say, Anthea? Talk about? Did I get
No, I think you captured what I was wanting you to address. That's great. I guess something for me is that I don't take sleep medication as such, but I do have a chronic pain condition where that I take nerve pain in the left-hand side of my face, which I've had for almost 20 years. And I take a lot of high level of analgesics. And I sleep quite a bit, and I believe that my sleep is impacted by those pain meds. But yeah, so but that's neither here nor there. That's just basically what my experience is. Yeah,
I'm not very good with chronic stuff because
that's
I've
fine.
only ever worked acute
Yep.
hospitals, so
Yeah.
people that are very sick for a short period. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, they come in with chronic things, I suppose, but they're not in my care for very long.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're the expert on that one. Hey, here's one other thing.
Yeah.
Talking about your chickens, did you know that dolphins, when they sleep, they put half of their brain to sleep and the other half is awake so that no sharks eat them, and then they swap. So they're
Wow.
never completely 100% unconsciously asleep like we do. We go,
Mm.
oh, amazing. What a
Mm.
clever thing.
Yeah.
So one time I was like, I had this chronic back pain, and then they just started giving me painkillers sometime back, like 2005. And I was like in one place for like 3 months. And then they gave me medicines, like I slept all through the day, and because of the medicines. And then I woke up in the night as if it was broad daylight. And I wish they had given me something to that, but it didn't do much, like it was like weird, and I feel tired, and like the body was aching, and it was like, and we can talk about things like jet lag, like people face when time zones change, no? I think this will go on for maybe another episode, no?
I think so.
So, yeah, it seems like so many things, right? And uh, so, and then things like insomnia, right? Insomnia. So, it is like see, people actually have this, no? So they have, so, and then in some cases we see like uh, people, they become so stressed or like nervous when they cannot, so they may be reaching out for a pill or some thing, or in their mind itself, sometimes the body may be not needing it. I'm not telling about insomnia, no, I'm just telling some person maybe doesn't need it at that moment, but think they should have it. Then they get like nervous or anxious about it, and then they say like, then it becomes the problem seems to becoming bigger and bigger. Then more things are added with fear and all. Or if I don't rest today, what will happen? Like that. It happened a couple of days now. And like that, it piles up, no? And then I cannot sleep at all. No, something's wrong with me. So, and like you said, they say about philosophers and all, like they used to stay, the sleep time they spent was less. And then there are like in ancient wisdom, they say about characters. Usually it's associated with the time they were born. I remember there was a gentleman in a faraway village, like with the pitch daylight, like at 12 noon. We would go without a shirt and just like a lungi or like a sarong. And he was in his at that time he was like in his like maybe close to 70 something, but very fit and all. But it was scorching hot, no, in that area. But in the daylight was the time he would roam everywhere. He was a very nice person. And then there are the, like say, like the night owls, no? So, but when you see like the time, I asked another person also who knew about these things, like does it happen, and how does it even go like this? No, we are trying to, like, it was so hot in that area. He also, like, he was like red in color, no, and his complexion was more lighter, but he was like totally red, no, and but he was like as if he was like having fun and go. And I have spoken to some people, like when the temperature is high and in the daytime they feel like as if they are flying, no, they feel so light. Some people in the night time they are very comfortable. So sometimes when you relate it, like it's according to the time each person was born also, but just check on it and see from the uh, things I gathered, it seems bit like that, but it can vary according to situations, things they are going through, what they are eating, how stressed they are, how relaxed they are, no? So in a way, like we'll talk about, there's so many things to talk. Like when the body is relaxed, the mind tend to relax very easily. uh, so that's why sometimes when people try to meditate also, they quickly fall asleep. We'll talk, there are patterns, there are explanations, a lot of things about that. So in a way, medication kind of, there are herbs even, no, people can take like as teas or something, no, then when they drink that, but there are some things like the frequency and everything increases. And actually, for example, if somebody drinks alcohol and all, sometimes it's the intensity is high and they cannot sleep. But some people fall asleep for with that also, right? They get drunk and they kind of like get knocked off, no? but I don't know whether it's, but no, usually they wake up with a hangover. No? And then, so there are different things that happen. So in a way, medication, but as you both said, like it seems very artificial. Uh, so if we can find a way, like even things like meditation, it really has a benefit. It says like Sukhan Supati, you can sleep well. Uh, so that's one of the best things or first things it is said about a meditation practice. And Sukham Pati Pujyati, that means like you wake up very pleasantly, like a flower blooming. Napapa Kansopinam Pasati, that means like you don't see like nightmares and like bad dreams. So there are sleep cycles, lot of things we can talk about. So I'll hand it to either of you, like can move on, no?
I've just thought of one drug that actually does some good, and it's melatonin,
Uh-huh.
right? So I don't actually class it as a drug because it's naturally produced in your body. My mum actually takes it because she's very frail and never goes outside. So she never gets sunlight on her eyes. She never gets sunlight on her skin. So her rhythms are all over the place. She's always been a really light sleeper. Like I remember as a 3-year-old trying to sneak into her bedroom and I'd on the carpet and I'd be tippy toeing on the carpet and she'd wake up. She just knew I was there. It was spooky, I tell you. But yeah, now so she takes melatonin, and that helps her sleep because it's produced naturally with when you're interacting with sunlight through the day, which she never gets. So yeah, that is one drug that does work and can help. And the studies have shown she only takes 2 milligrams at night, but there are recent studies showing that you can take massively more than that. Yeah, and safely because it's produced in your gut. They've just found, and yeah, very helpful with sleep. Very natural. Probably even better than a warm Milo.
One more thing, please. Like they say, like a good, like a yogi or a practitioner, any male or female, anybody, yeah. Like uh, if they're like not doing external things like hard work or labor like that, then 4 hours is quite good, like really good. 4 hours body rest is quite good because they practice
Oh,
different methods and all, no? So four
mm,
hours it's considered is a very good time. And then there I have seen videos and all, like they did some with some people which was kind of bad also, like they just kept them sleep deprived,
yeah,
and there was like some dark experiments done at some point, no? And
yeah,
the details are there on the internet and all, but then they just started going like so
crazy.
insane, no? And
Mm,
doing a lot of insane in, and then there I saw another person in I think in a uh, coun- uh, which country I cannot remember now. It seems like a Asian country. He had not slept for like I think couple of decades, and his wish is like I think he's from Vietnam or some country like that. And his details also there. His wish is he could one day sleep. So he actually does some work in the night also, but he's not tired. He just functions very well, but he has never slept for I think many decades now. I cannot
mm,
remember the exact time, sorry. But it was like unbelievable time he has not slept. So there are such people as that also. And there are
mm.
situations like that also, no? And then they talk about these people like deep these yogis and no people who practice and some people they just and there are even stories like some robber had gone to steal something of a uh, like a practitioner who was living in the forest, and this person didn't sleep and he was waiting till this person slept to steal something, no? But the whole night this person but that person had psychic power and saw why this person, and saw that this person was hiding behind a bush also, no? In the dark. And there are instances and even like real experiences like Another person said like he went to meet a particular person who was living by themselves. It could be any religion, any ways, no tradition like that. And it was very simple, like a small cottage, and there were not even enough space for like two people to stay. So he was like in the veranda or the outer area. So they were both like kind of like sleeping on the floor with a mat like thing. And every time he had like issues like anxiety, these kind of things, he would suddenly see nightmares, wake up. And but every time he said talk to that other person, it was like, when suddenly uh, when a person suddenly wakes up, the way they talk and it's different, no, like no, like they have to come back to like present, no. But this person seems like always awake, as if you're talking to a awake person at any time. So yeah, you see them laying down, it seems, and then there are like positions like the right hand side, the left hand side, and then you see these statues and all in a particular posture. It seems difficult for us, but even there are different sleeping postures that triggers different things. Like for example, many meditators or like even very advanced people who were considered enlightened and all, they used to use like the lion's posture, they call. You see many statues, many pictures like the right hand side. But that also maybe not like totally dropping. They would like keep their hand under or a pillow under and like lean like uh, uh, in a way not flat, like sideways, like and at first we are not used to it. It's hurting even our sides and all. But you can keep a cushion or sorry, a pillow even, and get used to it. And then the other posture is considered as, this is called like lion's posture. Uh, then the other one is like the left hand side in the same way, and it's called like a tiger posture. And then they see the connection with the sun and the moon. Uh, so, and the other two are not considered as very good for that matter. Like, how to explain you? Like, they usually like when you are upright, it's considered as like a your mindfulness and all just disappear. But I'm not telling nobody should not do this. I'm just telling what the ancient people knew, and so it's considered like a hungry ghost, or like it's, they say like these ghosts, they just like up like this on their limbs upwards, and they cannot do much things, no, and they cannot think properly and all. And the other one is like more towards the sexual side, like when you're facing downwards. Uh, so some people used to avoid, like who want to advance in spirituality, they used to how to say, avoid those two last postures. So there are things like that also. It's fascinating, no? Like, please, you all also join and
You know what I want to know, Sanji? You probably don't know either. But so that's a third of our life that we're asleep. What are we doing? Where
uh,
are we just unconscious and like repairing stuff? I bet we're not. I bet we're off doing something somewhere. What's going on?
Anthea, what do you think about that?
Well, I can share with you from an Islamic point of view. So, Islamic teachings say that sleep is like a little death, so that our souls actually leave our body. And then, if Allah or God wills for us to continue living, our souls come back into our body and we wake up. But if it's our written time to go back to Him, then our souls won't return. So, yeah, and then there's other teachings which come into the dreams part of it, that if we meet people that are loved ones, or our beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, if we see him in a dream, the teachings say that we are actually like meeting the souls of those people. So yeah, so that's what I can share from an Islamic point of view.
It's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. Yeah, I've heard similar that we're astral traveling or in the astral realm, which I don't really understand fully, but yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, it's true. True. Like when we are asleep, that's why sometimes we wake up with a twisted neck. We don't know.
No.
And we don't know even in deep sleep. Like we can talk about sleep cycles also. That seems very interesting. And the REM and no like sleep cycles. So in a way, like yeah, even like past relatives and all who are not in our worldly realm now no more, and they have passed on. They also can connect in those. That's why sometimes we see or they ask for help even. And so in sleep also, yeah, some people say we are connected by like a thread or no, it's like a silver line.
Yeah.
And so actually like the five sensory doors, like for example, the neck pain or a twisted neck, or sometimes as kids or something, we didn't even know, like we were rolled up in the net or like a bed sheet and maybe sometimes on the floor. Uh, and no, you don't even know, right? Or some people, yeah, that's also how we can talk about those things, sleep paralysis, no? Like that's also a thing, right? Those kind of things also happen. And or if you're just talking about a normal sequence, like we see cats and dogs also, they seem like running, eating, no? And so in a way, like we are separated from the five sensory doors. If you're talking about just example, no, because we don't know, sometimes the limbs are everywhere. Sometimes at small times or like drooping, no, and then like yeah, no, and then you don't know the and yeah, it's sad. It's like funny to say also. Uh, we used to like wet our beds even, no, when you were very small, right? I remember like going to the toilet, opening it and everything, and the door of the bathroom and all, and then suddenly I felt wet. No, then it was I went to the toilet, like wash area, did everything, but then
You
I felt
forgot to take your body with you.
yeah, no, I did everything. But there are sleepy people who sleepwalk, and then so many things are happening. And yeah, like our five sensory doors in a way are separated. So, but there are like different stages. I'll just mention them. I'm sure you both have like a good idea about this. So they talk about sleep cycles, no? So the first stage is light sleep, uh, transition from wakefulness, no? So the muscles relax, the brain waves slow. This can happen to 5 to 10 minutes. Then they talk about true sleep. No, the body temperature drops, heart rate slows, the brain activity changes. So they say this is like 50% of our night sleep. Huh? Then there's deep sleep. Slow, it's like a slow wave sleep. Then the body repairs the tissue, immune system strengthens, grows hormone releases. Then I'm sure we have heard about this REM, no? Rapid eye movement. There's a group also called REM, right? Yeah, yeah. No. The most dreams occur here. The brain activity becomes very active, memories processing happens. Then uh, the the body clock, no? So yeah. So usually like they talk about these four stages, right? So in a way, like they say, like when we come to what Anthea also asked, like we'll talk more deeply maybe next time or something. And they say like, yeah, if this is the daydream, people daydream also, right? Uh, daydream. And this everything we see is not the ultimate truth. And that is the night dream. Uh, so it because like in the dream suddenly we can see many things, no, happy things, sad things, fearful things. But when you wake up, oh, it was just a dream. People just wake up with sweat and also afraid, the heartbeat is so, but they are like relieved. Oh, thank goodness, it's just a dream, right? And then, then what happens is like, what about the daydream we are spending? So awakening is like just like we awoke from the night dream, and we were like, oh my gosh, it was just a dream, thank goodness. No, this daydream also we awaken because it doesn't stay, like a dream. And sometimes we just think like things that are not even happening or fear factors and all. But so the awakening happens there, and since a person falls asleep, that doesn't mean their mind stops. And that's it just keeps on. And there are very deep sleep stages like which was mentioned here. So in ancient wisdom, it says like there are mind streams that just connect the thought process. They connect the thought process. So that's why like even if person finds some portion or something to fall deep into sleep, that doesn't stop the thought. So they cannot become enlightened there. And usually like the awareness and all slowly the you cannot call it a grip even, but it's kind of like that we let it loose. So sometimes the filtrations, these kind of things, that's why maybe we could see like some strange dreams uh, that were associated or non-associated or combination of couple of things together. Uh, so then they started having how to say reading about it and all, but usually it's associated, and in some traditions they say uh, say an ant hill, it's burning. eh? And in the night time, the ant hill, there are no flames, but still it's smoking. So the ant hill was considered as our body because particles like the ants or the termites come and make it, no? They eat food and then they like digest it and put it out again, and particle by particle they make it. So many uh, s- many examples the body was considered or given the example as an ant hill. Huh? And then the fire is like people in the daytime usually run here and there, they have to do things, there are problems to solve, no, which is a thing, right? And they not only that, they take so many things into their sensory doors, which are even not necessary sometimes, and it also burns. And in the night time, even if you go to sleep, it doesn't stop. Maybe you don't run here and there, but still that smoke and the heat and those that's there. Or maybe the ashes are there or the coals are there. So it's still smoking. So that's why these people like the ancient yogis and all say that this sleep is not 100% rest. Uh, yeah, because sometimes it's true, no? Sometimes we get a good solution for something, or sometimes it seems like it never ended, no? Like even we try to forget it and sleep, but it seemed it continued. Uh, and then again we wake up and again we go through that. So in sleep, that's why they say like put a thing like a meditation or something nice before you go to sleep. Then it starts working inside. Otherwise, what happens is like the things we are thinking or that brings like hurt and sorrow and thing, they work. And then it comes back to the body again. That's why people just talk in their sleep, even walk, and these things also happen, right? Yeah. And then, like you feel the body pains and all, you feel tired, you feel like you didn't rest at all. Uh, yeah, please, there are so many sides to see, right?
I think that we might wind it up for tonight, but we've certainly got lots of material and little sort of points, not little points, points that we can discuss next week. So perhaps we might finish off with some closing thoughts or insights about tonight's discussion, and then we can certainly continue it with next week's discussion or whenever we take up this topic again. If we decide to discuss trauma recovery next week, we can do that. We'll just work out what's best for everybody and everybody's schedules. So, Rae, what are your closing thoughts or insights?
Oh, I just hang on to that gratitude for no alarm clocks. That's just the best thing. I'm so grateful. Yeah. I don't have any other cool stories just at this minute, but yeah, chuck those alarm clocks away if you want to be healthy and live long.
And how about you, Sanji?
I also was like fiddling around with the sleep thing also a lot. So yeah, it's like sometimes when the body needs, you need to give it a good rest, but sometimes you really don't need it. So just see, and like Ray said, like sometimes I also feel like without alarm, but I had to keep like 5 alarms to get up. Like not to still if it's alarm, but sometimes you're like, and sometimes when you're like really focused. Then before the alarm you get up and you are like, come on, that's 5 more minutes or 10 more minutes still, no, but still, and we have a natural clock, like you said, like that's why these our pets or animals, even if you feed an animal, they sometimes come, they don't have even watch or anything, but there's a natural clock, right? Yeah, please.
Dogs tell the time with their nose.
Like you said.
Yeah, so they don't need a clock because they can tell when you're due home from work because of the amount of your scent in the house that's gone down. When it
Oh,
gets,
wow.
Wow.
yeah, when it gets to a really low point, they think, okay, they'll be back any second, and that's why they're out the front waiting for you.
Yeah, no?
Yeah, so it's not the daylight or anything, it's the scent. Yeah, it's fascinating. And I've just remembered something else I wanted to say. I used to be a night owl. I used to stay up as late as possible. I used to hate mornings. But yeah, you have to drag me out of bed in the morning. But now that I have no alarm clock at all, I get up 5 o'clock in the morning, no problem at all. 6 o'clock most days. Yeah, yeah, very interesting. Once the pressure's off, I'm actually more of a morning person. I, I still marvel at that because for 50 something years, I thought I was a night owl, but I'm actually not at all naturally. Yeah.
Yeah, I also tested like, and I think people can adjust because I did it. I'm not just telling because I did before. I used to sleep. There were times I used to sleep at about 4 a.m. and then get up again at 8 a.m. Uh,
Mm.
and then, but in different places, like now, it's like more like a regular time. I
Mm.
sleep around at 11 and wake up at about 4. So people can adjust. I think like people should not panic and just
Right.
see like without just taking a bunch of pills or something, no? Just see how it goes, no, how it they feel, and just see and use natural remedies, things like that, even meditations or no, listening to nice. We can talk about things that distract sleep next time, no. I think if George is there, we can talk about trauma, or we can keep this as the backup topic, no. Then we uh, and then after that, if we talk about trauma next week, we can talk about this next on the opposite, no, the week that is
Mm.
coming ahead. So yeah, please just see. And sometimes you a small nap, like you said, about the power naps and all, no, like that can do miracles, no, like it's marvelous. You feel fully rested.
Mm.
And in some places we used to like work like whole like nights after nights, and then I remember in the bus also like uh I was just sleeping in the bus, no, and there was this small little monk, he thought like, what's wrong with him? No, but we were like, because there are these ceremonies and you go and help. So you work all night, then they ask you to come to the next one, next one, next one. So you go from one to, so in the bus, and actually my head was hitting, and this suddenly I saw this small monk. He was like looking at me, like, what's with him? Maybe, he's drunk or something, because he was like this, like the small children, like they are like really, they so but no, that small rest like really helps, no? So and there are practices you can do, like even savasana, yoga practices, these kind of things that can, and there are specific ways, like you can dim the lights or make it more cooler, listen to some soothing thing, and keep the devices off, or like this blue light hurts, and we'll talk about these things next time. So without panicking, just give it some time and see. And there are so many how to say options for us. And like Ray said, like, yeah, we in a way, like, life is short, right? Not, we don't have like thousands and thousands of years, no? So if one third is already going and we spend a chunk of it as a kid, we have no clue, right? We would take any opportunity to just to sleep. Even if we had to go to school or something, we would just switch off the alarm or something and try to, or fake act it, no? Like, oh, we are so sick or something, no? And then, and in a later stage of our life, we see adults and all, they also fall asleep even if they're talking. It comes again to like the childish times, right? So why not make the best of what we have now, no? Without, not to stress yourself, but why not like take the of the hours and take a basic rest when we need it, and other times we can be fully functional. That doesn't mean you have to work yourself to the core, right? No, but do something what you like, no, something that makes you happy, peaceful. No? Okay, Anthea, over to you.
Okay, so what's coming through to me is that so in terms of healing and holistic healing, I think sleep is a really powerful tool that we all have access to, and perhaps we underestimate it. So as Sanji is encouraging everyone, including us, to take advantage of it. Don't stress about it if you can't sort of stick to a certain routine. Listen to our bodies and take advantage of different resources that we'll talk about a bit more next week: meditation, yoga practices, sleep hygiene, rituals, drinking relaxation tea, staying away from devices, calming ourselves down, listening to soothing sounds as we're trying to sleep. So there's so many blessings in sleep, and as Sanji mentioned, yeah, we spend like about 1/3 of our lives sleeping. So let's take full advantage of it, and I'll look forward to our
Yeah.
discussion continuing when it does at our next session. So thank you both so much
Okay.
for your expertise, wisdom, compassion, love, and humor, and time and energy. And we'll see you next time.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank
good
you. Bye-bye.
good night and a good
Bye.
rest and a good sleep, person.
Thank you. Thank you.